Welcome to the Patriotic Preachers Podcast, the show that looks at American politics through the lens of a patriot and the light of God's Word.
Welcome back to the Patriotic Preachers Podcast. My name is Micah Farr. With me, as always, Cody Yarbrough.
Yo.
And we've got Derek Farr with us again.
Hello.
And
I found out yesterday my name can be pronounced Yarborough, like a Marlboro.
right.
That's exactly
It's a
how
Yarborough.
that's exactly how I pronounce
Yeah,
it.
that's
I love my name. Not really.
Yarbrough, Yarborough.
Or Ted. Either of those are acceptable.
All right, so for this episode, we're going to cover a topic that, for you, it'll be the first time you hear it. For us, it'll be the second time we discuss it, because the man behind this mic right here, point at me, I made a boo-boo the last time we recorded this, and I did not record Brother
Mike.
Cody.
Yeah, my microphone was off the whole
And
50-minute episode. So
it was not a good deal.
learning
So,
curve.
yeah, I mean, people make mistakes.
It happens.
It happens.
Don't let it happen again.
Yeah, we won't. We're rolling. I'm looking at it. We're rolling. So, we're going to cover a topic. The 50. Well, it's a topic that would really affect all of the 50 states, but more particularly, it would affect the people in California. There's an idea floating around right now, an idea that quite possibly could happen, that there's a possibility of people desiring a split of the state of California, split into two states. And so, is there a possibility that one day we could have 51 states? Now, we've got Puerto Rico as a territory. Should they desire to become a state, it wouldn't take a whole lot, and you could have 51 there. But speaking directly to 51 states as a result of California splitting into two different states. And you might think that's a crazy idea, but it has happened in the past, of people bringing up the idea, not that it's been split into different states, but people have brought up the idea. As far back as the 1800s, they brought up the idea to split it into two different states. The north part of California would be called Jefferson. The southern part of California would be called California. So, not an unrealistic idea, but the reason behind this idea, this push, and it's mainly by conservative individuals who want the idea, who like the idea of a split California, two different states, is because they're living in a liberal utopia.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely no way that the conservative voice can be heard, because they are outnumbered 2-1, but there's 4 million at least of them, and we'll get to those numbers here in a little bit.
It'd be a really neat thing to do. They said that they would call the north part Jefferson. It'd be pretty cool. Like, name one of them Larry, Curtis.
What you talking about, California?
Yeah, right.
And these are the kind of things that you miss if you miss out on the Patriotic Preachers Podcast. It's like a Sunday night. Never miss a Sunday night at church.
That's exactly right.
And I think it's a good idea, because California is eventually going to implode.
Yeah.
They're the test case for all leftist, like you said, utopian dreams and visions, and those things are just really not sustainable.
Right.
The only reason it's held together this long is because they have so much population to draw taxes from. But we're starting to see the seams come unraveled, so to speak, in places like San Francisco with the homeless problem. Literally needles. I saw a picture. I'm in a bunch of these pressure washing groups because that's what I do, and there's a lot of the guys that are big in the industry. They're based in California. Well, this guy, he sent it was 2 or 3 days ago. He sent a picture to the group, and he was trying to clean a sidewalk, and he had swept up the big debris. And brother, I'm talking about probably 200 to 300 needles, and
Wow.
in a shot, a before and after. He said, "Look at this. This is crazy." And he just had shot a probably 40-foot long section, and he had swept them all into a pile, and it was just heroin needles for days.
goodness.
And he was like, he gets a contract to clean this a bunch of commercial buildings and strip malls and stuff, because of the homeless. They're defecating in the sidewalks and streets, and so they constantly have to go out and sanitize.
Right.
But just to do it, he's got to deal with hundreds of. It's like something that we would never encounter.
Yeah.
So the California, I don't know. It's crazy land. And hey, if I lived there, I would be all for the split. I know I would be for it.
Well, the population is so centered to the cities that the cities are mainly Democrat. We covered in our Republic versus Democracy podcast, we talked about the Electoral College. We covered the reason why we need the Electoral College. And it's because if we didn't have the Electoral College, if we were a majority vote and it was just pure democracy, 51% wins it, one more vote wins it for the presidential candidate, then you're looking at a presidential race to see who could win Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. You just need those cities. And so in California, because there is a democracy at the state level, we covered that back in that podcast. If you have not listened to that episode, go back and listen to that episode. But because at the state level, it is all you need is one more vote. The Republican mind, the Republican voice is never heard because I looked at the Electoral College. I looked at the popular vote for the last presidential election, and there were some, I want to say, 8 million votes for Hillary Clinton and 4 million for Donald Trump. And so you got 4 million at least. I may be wrong on that Hillary Clinton number, but I know there were 4 million votes for Donald Trump. You got 4 million conservative minds at least who are not being heard because of the cities. Yeah. And all these rural people, 4 million of them.
You say that word a lot better than I do. Say it again.
Rural.
Yeah, I can't say it. It's one of them words I sound like I'm falling.
Well, but yeah, so you got to give those guys. So I would be in favor of it. I like it. You know, we talked about, because we are, and this was in the episode before Republic versus Democracy, the one that was United States versus United State. If you don't like your state, move. Mm-hmm. Well, that's okay for 3 people. Move if you don't like New York, move somewhere else. If you don't like Alabama, move to Florida. If you don't like California, you're telling 4 million people to leave.
A whole state.
That's a whole state worth of people.
How many people are in Alabama? It's about 4 million. 4 to 5 million. It's close to that.
Look it up. I want to say it's around. I would venture to say around 9.
9 million.
I would venture.
Wow.
But I don't know.
Less than that.
I don't know. Well, probably I'm probably really overshooting. It's probably around 4, but
yeah, that's an entire state's worth of population that they can't just relocate. And California is so
4.7.
Okay.
I was really close.
You're really close. There 4.4 million voted for Donald Trump. So that's like in California. So that's like right there. Mm-hmm. It's the size of Alabama.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with California splitting because I can put myself in the shoes of 4 million plus people that are kind of stranded. And it's easy to say move, but it may not be the best thing for a whole state's worth of people to pack up and leave. And we talked about this in the last show that the audio was messed up on, but a really cool metric for this is and you can do this if you're listening, you can do this. Go and look up the U-Haul rates for moving out of California. And look at going to Texas because that's a pretty common place for people in California to go versus the rates going from Texas back to California. So I've got it pulled up here. This is pretty crazy, and this is near and dear to my heart because it's capitalism. Yeah. It's free market.
Capitalism at its finest.
And it gives us a metric. So from L.A. to Houston to rent a U-Haul, a 26-foot U-Haul, one way, $3,965. To go from Houston back to L.A., $967. So it's a 4.1 times ratio there.
And what that means is there's a whole lot more people going to Texas than there are going from California to Texas than there are from Texas to California.
Mass exodus.
Yeah.
So U-Haul is supply demand. Right. U-Haul is there's a huge demand, little supply. They can't keep trucks in the state to keep up with the people coming out of the state.
Yeah.
San Francisco to Houston, $4,575 versus going the other way, $1,115.
Good gracious.
4 times. That's crazy to spend. Can you imagine going to rent a U-Haul and writing a check for $4,500? That blows my mind.
Mm.
I think of how much ammo that is. That's a lot of ammo.
Californians don't know anything about ammo.
They don't have the ammo standard, I guess. Instead of the gold standard, I go by the
Right.
ammo standard. That's
Yeah.
crazy, though. But yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, my dad would rent a U-Haul and we'd keep it for 2 years.
Long
Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
Not condoning.
No.
We would move every other month, like every month and a half. So
Yeah.
it was just logistics,
Just
man.
keep
Just-
it. Yeah. U-Haul eventually was like, no, we're not going to see that one back.
Just a write-off.
Yeah. But this mass exodus is there's a correlation
Uh-huh.
behind it. You can't. Correlation does not mean causation. You cannot.
Statistics.
Yeah, you cannot get behind. And I'll use this. I will use this example. In the summertime, ice cream sales go up, and also in the summertime, murder rates go up. Does that mean that ice cream causes people to murder?
It's possible.
No. It's the heat.
They're out of butter pecan.
It's the heat. The heat has the same. So you can't necessarily say people are leaving California because of, but there is a strong correlation to their voices not being heard. And I'm sure if you dug into it, you would find that this is no doubt the cause.
I think probably a big chunk of it is taxes.
Yeah. Oh,
the
yes.
taxes are so high that the small businesses leave, and even big businesses like Nissan, they relocated to Tennessee because their tax rate was ridiculous. So they move. They move out of the state, and the state's. Well, look at the film industry. We're next door to Georgia, right?
Oh, yeah. They moved from Hollywood to Atlanta.
They're going to Atlanta,
Yeah.
and Georgia's now a huge, except for the yahoos that want to ban Georgia because of the, what was it? Was it abortion issue?
Abortion.
Abortion
All
law.
the Hollywoodites
Right.
said, boo-hoo, we're not going to film in Georgia anymore. Okay, fine, go back over there. We don't want you over here no
Well,
way.
they've said that multiple times.
Yeah, but they're still going to do it because
Right.
it's cheaper to film over here. A very popular show, Breaking Bad. It was on, what was that, on AMC?
I think
for
so.
years. It's set in California. They filmed it in Nevada.
Yeah.
Because it was, I mean, it's the same landscape, same backdrop. The reason they didn't do it is because taxes. It was millions of dollars cheaper to go right over there and film it than be where you wanted to be at.
So what do you think, Pop, about this idea of splitting into 2 states?
Well, it goes back to the age-old problem of taxation without representation. When you've got that many people. Now, understand this, we are not condoning this podcast, nor any of the three of us are condoning that anytime you get wadded up about something your state's doing that you're going to revolt and start another state. But what we are talking about, when you have a massive amount of people that are not being heard, something's got to be done.
Yeah, and this isn't a new issue. Like I said, it's
right.
gone back to 1800s.
And California, correct me if I'm wrong, the electoral college is all or none.
Yeah, that the electoral college is all or none except for 2 states, Maine and Nebraska.
Right.
Every other state is all or none. And so that brings up a really valid point. The Democrats, the left specifically, would absolutely hate for California to be split into 2, because if this happened right now, it is 55 guaranteed. It's 8 million to 4 million. It's 55 guaranteed.
Right.
But if they split, then you've got less than 55. They would take those electoral votes and they split them between the 2 states, because we don't create electoral votes. We just shift them around.
Correct.
Now, we used to create more and more as the population grew, but they finally decided 235 is it. We're not doing any more. So as the population grows, you just shift them. So when you split California into 2, you just split the electoral votes. And I would imagine that this I didn't tell you, but this idea of splitting into 2, this newest wave of trying for this to happen, it would turn California into 2 states, and it would be Los Angeles County and the surrounding 6 counties, I believe. They would be California, and then the rest of California would be called New California. And so it's bigger in land mass, but it would probably be, if not equal, a little bit less in population. So New California, smaller in area, but would have more population. They'd have more electoral votes, but at best for the Democrats, New California would be a swing state, if not conservative, most of the time.
You know what would be a great idea is to be able to figure out where that border is going to be and buy property along it on the north side.
Man.
Because you're going to have so many people who live in the Southern California area for business and work that would migrate just over the line,
right,
and work. That property is going to be worth
yeah,
a fortune.
Yeah, if this ever takes place, that's exactly right. But it's all about every time it's been brought up here recently. The last time it was brought up, I believe, when we looked at it, was 2017. The last time they voted for it, and you have to vote. That's the thing. The state has to vote. Yes, we want to split. Well, if the Democratic Party say no, we don't want to split, well then the majority of the people in the state are going to vote no because they're majority Democrat. So it's never going to happen based on that. You're going to have some sort of some miracle for them to vote and say yes, we want to. And it would not be totally out of the realm of possibility, especially with this idea of if you don't agree with me, then hit the bricks because I don't want your toxicity around me. Yeah. So yes, I will gladly vote you out of my state. It's not out of the realm of possibility with bratty minded people like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think as far as the electoral college goes? What would with the population the way it is and the way it would be divided, would it be something like 30-25 or?
I would have to look at the specific population for it. If I had to guess, though,
you're going to have a little bit more with California than you would New California. Right. So
if there, like I said, there's 55. Let's just do this. Let's just say California, which would be Los Angeles County and the 6 surrounding counties, 20. Or no, let's do 30.
Yeah, they would get 30, and
30.
And the other would get 25.
Right. Let's do 30 and 25.
That's what I'd say.
And or even 35 and 20, but those extra 20 to 25, that's a lot of electoral votes.
That's a massive amount.
Yeah.
And
what are some smaller states that would be equivalent to? Look it up real quick.
You would have to add several states together out there. If you go west, you'd have to add some states together to even get the New California amount.
And before we get to that, while you're looking it up, when you just said that a minute ago, it reminded me, like you said, we're not advocating starting a new state every time you have a disagreement. It's a lot like starting a new church every time you get your feelings hurt.
Oh yeah.
There best be some real good reasons, and sometimes there are. If there's a big chunk of a congregation that's not getting heard, and there's some issues,
right,
there's nothing wrong with going down the road and starting a new church. But the problem is people do that at the drop of a hat, and I think we should be careful about it. But in the same sense as that, we shouldn't just. Option one ain't to go and start a new state. Option one ain't to I got my feelings hurt. Well, let's go down the road and get us a storefront and start a church. But sometimes that has to happen, and sometimes it's God's will that it happens that way.
Well, if this split does end up taking place, then this particular one, there have been other ideas about 6 different states and all that. I don't see that happening as much as I would 2 states, just a direct split. But if this particular split were to take place, then let's go with 30 and 25. This would make Texas the leading electoral college vote holder with 38, and then California, this theoretical California would be 30, and so that would be how that would shape up. And then the new California, the larger landmass, we're anticipating to be leaning conservative, but also swing state. They would have 25. And this would put them on par with states like New York with 29, Florida with 29, Pennsylvania with 20, Illinois with 20.
It's huge.
That
would be a game changer.
It would be a game changer. Ohio, which we look at and we say, oh man, that is the quintessential swing state. You got to win Ohio. You got to win Florida. That's 18 electoral votes in Ohio, 29 electoral votes in Florida. California, or rather New California, would then become the swing state with 25 electoral votes. It would be absolutely a game changer.
I don't think New California would last long. It would implode much quicker because you wouldn't have the population of the normal people keeping it afloat. I don't think.
Well, see, I think
maybe a decade.
I
They'd be
think
bankrupt.
I think it would do well if you immediately say, "Look, we are different. We are."
Economically, everybody there is going to be $15 an hour, and that ain't enough.
Yeah.
So from a businesses couldn't survive there.
Yeah.
They're just getting money from everybody, and they're keeping
Well, do you
those
mean
small cities.
you talking about the
afloat.
small California or
Yeah,
the big
the
California?
small one, the big
Yeah.
one, the big landmass
Yeah.
conservative, they'd be fine.
Yeah.
But the small area, they would be okay for a while,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they'd all be happy.
Well, people would begin to move out just across,
Yeah.
like you said, because if that does end up happening, then you've got more conservative people. The property tax goes down. Just taxes in general go down. People move right across the line, and they work over.
Right. And we are affected by that here in this county where we live. We live right on the Georgia-Alabama line,
Yep.
and we have a lot of people that work and were living in the metro area. They've moved across the line because we've got a beautiful lake in our county, and the land tax is like minimal.
Yeah, I
Very,
think we
very low.
have, if not the lowest, the second lowest property tax in the United States.
Right, and the problem that we have is these people that are migrating across the line, which is fine. Come on over.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we want you to be here. That's okay, but don't make us Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah.
They've come over to our utopia,
Yeah, we want you to be Georgia.
and we want to. Yeah. Oh, we love what you have over here.
Yeah.
Well, leave it alone.
Right.
Yeah, stop changing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would end up happening to his thought, and Pop, this is to your point that you're making. What would happen if that happened in this smaller, L.A. and their surrounding counties, that California, they implode. Well, we want to be like New California. We want to be like them, and then they are like, okay, and let's just say they swallow them back up, and then they vote them back to be what they once
Right.
were. Which we're seeing. We see it. The socialistic mindset does not work for long. Detroit,
Yeah.
Chicago.
Detroit's a great example.
And California as an entire state is slowly showing itself. I mean, you can look, and I know you jump to another country, and but it's not the U.S. It's never been done right, and the U.S. can do it right. But Venezuela was it for
Sean Penn said it was.
Yeah.
There's all these actors touting Venezuela until it implodes, and
Yeah.
nobody wants to talk
They
about it
also
anymore.
said they were leaving when Donald Trump became president. They're
Not,
still here.
not one of them is
Nobody
left.
left.
Nobody
They're
went
still
to
here.
Canada.
I was in Canada not long ago. None of them's there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I thought about this today. What do you think the chances of Donald Trump Jr. running after his dad gets done with 2 terms? What do you think the chances are? Because I kind of see him. He's getting in the news a lot, and he's kind of
Chance of him running, I would not doubt the chance of him running. The chance of him winning, I would
depends
say,
on
are
who the
slim.
person on the other side is.
I think, in my personal opinion, I think that Mike Pence is going to get ready to do.
Yeah.
I think in this second term for President Trump,
Yeah.
you're going to see Mike Pence begin to take the spotlight more and more and more, and I think he'll get it. And then you might see
He did
Trump
do all
Jr.
of those Johnny Quest shows, and he's done with that. So he's got a wide open plate now.
All right, guys, you open the can of worms. So I'm gonna challenge you to find another vice president in the last century that has done as much
No, he's great.
as Mike Pence. I mean, he is on the forefront
yeah.
every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not. There's never been a time since President Trump has been elected that Donald Trump or that Mike Pence has been a Joe Biden.
Right.
He doesn't go do dinners.
No.
He goes and deals with foreign countries and takes care of real things,
Yeah.
And so,
Solid dude.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Good man of God, too.
Yeah, they were criticizing him back in the election because there was an interview and he didn't want to be with the interview lady alone, and
Right.
she was calling him misogynistic or whatever. He said, "No, I just make it a point to not be with ladies alone, because
Yeah.
it just looks bad." Find no fault in it.
Yeah, and the lady, as a quote unquote feminist, she should have been. Yeah, the more women in here, the better. I don't want you touching me and blah 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 blah. That's what she should
You
have been
can't
like.
win. You
Can't win for losing.
Can't win for losing. But yeah, I like Mike Pence.
Yeah, he's
I say split them up.
Yeah,
split
split
them
'em.
up.
Split 'em.
Do your thing, California. All you gun owners out there, how many listeners do we have in California? You track
Right
the
now,
metric.
one.
Hey.
We've got one download.
Fella, whoever you
Yeah.
are, lady, We're praying for you.
Yeah.
All those guns you lost in a boating accident.
I hope they come back. I hope it wasn't an accident. I haven't seen them pop up recently.
Well, they're
are you
underground right now.
Are you okay, Californian listener? I'm worried about you.
We'll send you a link to this on a carrier pigeon.
Yeah, right.
But for our lone listener in California,
Oh.
we do bid you Godspeed.
New York.
It's the Lord.
We hate to do it to you, but it's the Lord West.
One of speaking of our metrics, one of the surprising things about our metrics, and I don't know if I've talked about it on the show before or not, but New York is our third largest listening population. Alabama, obviously, because that's most people we know. Georgia, we know people in Georgia too, but then New York.
Kind of odd.
Look, guys,
I appreciate y'all, New York. Thank you so much.
You guys have got to stop using the word metric, because every time you say it, I think matrix, and I want to bend back. I weigh 300 pounds, so I'm going to
You
fall
are
out
the
on the floor
one.
in a minute.
Not
You are the
Matrix.
one, brother.
All right, but what do you think? Let us know. If you're from California and you listen to this, what do you think? Should they split into two different states? Should they not? Why or why not? Give us your rationale behind it. And hey, if you are from Rhode Island, I don't care. Tell me what you think California should do. That's what we're doing.
I think they should split up there.
We want to know. And so share this podcast with your friends. Share it with your family. If you like it, share it. If you don't like it, share it. If you like the show, give us a like, comment. If you don't, comment and tell us you don't like it. We need to know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, so we can grow. You can email us at patrioticpreachers@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. Just type in Patriotic Preachers. I'm Michael Farr. For Cody Arbor and Derek Farr, we out of here.
Peace.